Destroying Christian Dogma. And I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm really ready to get to the doctrine of it, but we still got to deal with this corrupted text. And this 9. All praise God. This is part 9. I'm trying not to rush to get to the New Testament, but I'm ready to get to the New Testament, because the more I listen to the New Testament app on YouTube every week, like I just wrote something down this morning, like that's false doctrine. Wow. Well, we gotta take our time and do our due diligence. So the first 8 parts are loaded in a YouTube channel, and that's where we're taking these breaks, because it's a lot of information. I don't want you guys just accept this if you haven't vetted it, because there's a lot of research. And when you hear things for the first time, it sounds weird. I still, well, no, not anymore. When I first came in and I started bashing Jesus, I still would cringe, like, oh, I wasn't really about it. Like, I was like, Jesus is fake. Like, if you know inside, you walk with Jesus. So it took me like 2 years to get confident. Yeah, Jesus is fake. So hearing this stuff, it is abrasive. Then we brought out that class, should we worship Jesus? And since all was like, man, it sounds weird when you say that we shouldn't worship Jesus, because grew up in the 80s, every church song, they worship Christ, our Lord. But then when you read the apostles, they always putting the Father first and saying our master or our teacher or our king, Yahushua. So these classes are heavy, like what's the elder name? Quincy Jones. It's heavy, baby. It's heavy, baby. So we know this stuff is heavy. There's no point in keep loading y'all up with research, and you ain't had the time to vet this other stuff out. So that's why we're taking these gaps, have these weekend of just having outings, so you give you time to vet this stuff. But this is part 9 of Destroying Christian Dogma, and we're still just dealing with the text itself. We're dealing with that book that they call a Bible. We haven't even gotten to the theology yet. It's hard to separate the two because they're so interwoven, but we're really right now, we're still focusing on the current condition of those books being filthy. We brought out, if these books were in academia, you couldn't quote them as sources. Your teacher's like, that's an invalid source. There's so many contradictions in these books, they're not valid in academia. So that's why we're pushing people away from the book and trying to push you back to the Messiah. Because it's the Messiah telling you, son, read it again. And when it happens to you, my wife, I'd be like, whoa, God, calm down, you gotta see it. So, and then we got a live example during the Feast of Dedication, was it? When Shamar, y'all had that? Oh, yeah, that's right. When it hits you, like, oh my God. Like, so we're not telling you to throw away the baby with the bathwater. We're telling you to fast and pray. Every time you open this book, Father, show me the truth. And his son is going to say, that's not original. Why would I tell him to forget Moses? I gave it to Moses. I resealed what Moses got. So that's what we want to be responsible. So anybody can help us read, we can pass it around. We got a couple of readers. Do anyone want to read the warning for the people? Oh, I'm sorry, SELAH. Y'all need the light out? Anybody got rest? Y'all gonna be all right? Huh?
Okay. I'll start it.
Go ahead.
Warning. D.C.D series is an advanced study of the Bible. Neophytes, novices, and or those not weaned from milk should not partake in this series. If at any time you begin to doubt the Most High or the existence of his only begotten son, Yahushua, please exit this series immediately.
We just want to be responsible. Everything is not for everybody. A lot of people, I'm jealous. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We real people, right? I'm jealous of the YouTube generation because y'all can sit down and soak up YouTube channels. Some of it's bad and some of it's good. But when the brother witnessed to me, I had to go to the library at the university and put up these big old books with dust on them. And y'all get on YouTube and just soak it up for hours. So you just can't be a YouTube all-star. You got to vet this stuff. So if you're not really used to research, We don't want to be responsible. Oh, the whole Bible is fake. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying. So, I get it right back. So when we open up, y'all pray for me up here, please. Lord, to come shut us down. That's how wise. We're just trying to make it young. So when we started with these questions to gauge your knowledge base of how much you know or how far you grow through this series. And the first question we all wrote down was who wrote the KJV Bible. And right now we're focused on the KJV Bible. That's the KJV Bible. King James is the Nike of Bibles. Most of us, we grew up with it. Our oldest in here, you know King James. You don't know about any other Bibles. So who wrote the KJV Bible? What year was the KJV published? As we go over these answers, you could just jot them down or check them off your list for your knowledge base. And then it was like, was the KJV the first Bible ever published? What is the primary source used to translate that KJV Bible? And then we asked, what's the difference between the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Bible? I think we know that now, right? Yeah. What's the difference between the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Bible? The Christian Bible. Say that again out.
The Christian Bible is just about the New Testament.
Christian Bible is those letters add. The Hebrew Bible is just what we call the Old. Now we know there's no such thing as an Old or New Testament. That first half, the elders call the prophets or the writings, and the new half, the people who believe in Hamashiach, they call those things the memoirs, the letters. And then the pagans started to call them the Gospels. But our elders was like, those are the memoirs of the elders. So do you know the difference between the Christian Bible and the Hebrew Bible? Now we do. The Hebrew Bible is Genesis to Malachi. Queen. The Hebrew Bible is Genesis to Malachi. The Christian Bible are those 27 books. We got that wrong, right? New Testament has, Old Testament has 39, and the New Testament has 27, correct? Yeah, 27, right? Y'all shaming y'all Sunday school teacher. So those 27 books added are called the Christian Bible. And then we brought out, just for example, how filthy and how suspect or dubious these writings are. You tell us that Moses wrote the first 5 books, but then when we go to Moses' writings, for that example, Exodus 6:1, Moses is writing in third person. Who does that? Who does that? And like Abshayah brought out, then we get the Numbers, I think it was Numbers 13, he was like, and Moses was the most meek man of the earth. Why are you kind of on yourself there? So like, who's writing these writings here? These are the questions we need as Christians in the church to answer for us. And then we asked, are all the books of Moses translated from the original scrolls? And then how many books in the Old Testament? All a little rusty, but the so-called Old Testament, that's why I say in quotes, air quotes, so-called Old Testament has 39 writings, and those letters, those memoirs, they have 27. Christians come up with 66, but our writings are vast. They destroyed a lot of our writings. So we vet all writings. I'm not scared to read anything anymore because I know the spirit of Hamashiach is on us. So we vet all writings through the spirit of Hamashiach. So this is the image Nariah drew for us by the spirit of Hamashiach, pointing out that these Bibles, especially the KJV, is a Frankenstein. It's some of everybody adding to it. And today we're going to get closer to showing you what we mean by it being a Frankenstein. That's all. So can you read a review of what the Masorah is?
Mariah, I don't think the screen is showing online.
Did it again. The water box says. It's good. We just got to the review. That's good. All praises. How about now?
Yes, I see your computer screen.
All right. I gotta make it big. gotta get a shake clean on these wires. And we might have to hire you to work Spike out. That would even get me tired.
I can work.
I said, shit, calm down, boy. I need a break.
Me and Sister Joy.
So,
Okay, yeah, it's good.
all praises. So this slide, we're just saying how we're gonna try to get to the primary authors of these writings, the translations that went through, biblical inerrancy, textual criticism, the biblical credibility. Really already, Sister Joyce already, all praises at the water sister being at Korean. Just this week, she found another, what they would call a variant. It's, I forgot the verse she posted, but it reads nothing like the Septuagint. So that's why we encourage all of you as you're reading, pull out your Septuagint and compare it to the KJV, and you're going to see that the KJV is just it's a filthy corruption. Jeff?
I think it was Judges 1.
Judges 1, the water of God, the water of
So
God.
at least different than
Judges 1 is corrupt. Judges chapter 1, verse 1 is not verse 1, it was verse 20. Judges 1 and 20, like Judah took Gaza or something like that.
yeah.
That's corrupt. Judges 1 and 19 or 20 is saying Judah took Gaza, and that's corrupt. He didn't take Gaza. Judah didn't take Gaza. And we'll show you, those who are still new and learning, we'll show you why we prefer the Septuagint over the KJV. But just for the cliff notes, when the elders, the apostles quoted the OT or the so-called OT, all the theologians, if you respect them, they verified that Messiah and all his apostles, when they quote the prophets, their quotes match the Septuagint almost verbatim, opposed to the Masoretic text. The Masoretic text is filthy. So, can you read Masur for us?
Sorry. The system of critical notes on the external form of the biblical text. This system of notes represents the literal labors of innumerable scholars, of which the beginning falls probably in pre-Maccabean times, and the end reaches to the year 1425.
So the word Masura, where you get Masoretic text from, it comes from a Hebrew word. They tried to clean it up in later years. It said, oh, Masura just means tradition. But it's still filthy because Hamashiach says, you forsake the law of Yah for the traditions of your father. So even if you try to clean this word up and make it say, oh, it's just traditions that we got passed down from our fathers, it's still filthy. But when you go to the more ancient use of this word, Masar means fetters, handcuffs. So you just put handcuffs on the people's minds when you add your notes to this text. And then it says, the literary labors of innumerable scholars. Do you know one of them? Can you name two of them? Innumerable scholars have come up with this Masura, and it says it's going back to pre-Maccabean. That's the Greek captivity. And then you didn't finish it until the Christian year 1425. Y'all know the span of that? And this is the text you want me to say is inspired. These pastors every week, I got a fresh word on high. I got some fresh manna. Can we talk? You got fresh word from on high and from the Spirit, and the Spirit didn't tell you that's a corrupted text. So where'd you get that word from on high? Where you get that fresh manna from? These are the critical questions I have to ask. You're a man, let's be men. Your spirit didn't tell you that Jesus is a pagan deity? Jesus, earth, swine. Your spirit didn't tell you that. This is what we asking these Christians. Where you get everything you get in them seminary schools is from the Jesuits. The Jesuits. Read on.
Etymology of the name. The name of Sora occurs in many forms. The etymology, the pronunciation, and the genetic connection of which are much mooted points. The term is taken from Ezekiel 37 and means originally.
That's Ezekiel 20
and
37. 2 X is 10 or X is 10. So Ezekiel 20 and 37.
Ezekiel 20 and 37 and means originally fetter. The fixation of the text was correctly considered to be in the nature of a fetter upon its exposition. When in course When in course of time, the Masorah had become a traditional discipline, the term became connected with the verb to hand down.
So they cleaned it up in the later years. No, we ain't put no fetters on the text. We ain't put your mind in handcuffs. This is just a tradition we got from our fathers. Well, if your fathers is non-messianic, your fathers are the devil. So no matter what you clean, you can't clean this word up. Masorah means fetters. You put handcuffs on the Most High's word. Read on.
And was given the meaning of tradition. For a full discussion of the meaning and history of the word, see Batcher or Bacher and JQR.
It don't matter how.
Yeah, 785 and C. Levius in the Hebrew Union College Annual for 1904.
So he just put out some air quote scholars can give you more information. These are doctors. We're dirtbags here. But these doctors are telling you like, yeah, Masorah is really not a positive thing. So now you've been reading from a Masoretic text and you got fetters on your mind. Grace is all you need. Messiah or Yahweh isn't the Messiah. So now you're going to go worship this Messiah they got in Israel now? Y'all heard about that?
Right.
They done found their Messiah in Israel. So you're going to go. So Yahweh, y'all say he ain't the one. So y'all going to go worship this one or honor this one? No way. All these fetters on the text got people caught in false doctrine.
And let me tell you, man, this right here, this confirmation, because I think for the past 2 weeks, I know I've been bringing it up. I know brother Raleigh, Danny, he speaks about it all the time. Marshall, I've been talking about it pretty much all week. By the way, Chef as well. How, you know, coming up in Christianity and things like that, you know, we still have these tapes playing in our head of, you know, all the things we learned in Christianity, and we kind of bring those things into this awakening. You know, I always say we know we have to go back to our ancestors. You know, so we have to go back and, you know, get into our ancient mindset. You know, and start vetting a lot of these things out, because we're reading the text, but we're still have these tapes playing in our head. You know, doing these things that Christianity has taught us, you know, still bringing them into the text. So this right here is confirmation of us having to go and vet, just like the scripture says, I think in Thessalonians, to prove all things, you know. So this is amazing. All praises.
All praises. Before I get, because y'all know I get passionate, I want to make sure we get the Most High his due. Let's go to our Cathabri and let you know that this you can't get this from university. You can pay all those tuition fees you want. We're the Most High's children. He got promises to us that he can't renege on, not because you're great, because Abraham was great. Wow. Yatazak was great. Yaqua was great. So this ain't intellectual. Let's go get the Most High his just due. Let's go to 2nd Chronicles and Mariana, since you got the mic. 2nd Chronicles chapter 20, and your Masoretic is probably going to be 18 or 17. But if you got the Septuagint, it's going to be verse 15, at the end of verse 15. 2nd Chronicles 20, at the end of verse 15 in the Septuagint. Just so people know that this ain't intellectual. This is the Most High keeping his word. 20. 2nd Chronicles 20, and if you got your Septuagint, start at verse 15.
We're all there. 2nd Chronicles 20, starting at verse 15. And he said, "Listen, all Judah and inhabitants of Yahushua and King Jehoshaphat, this is what Yah says to you yourselves. Do not be afraid of them or alarmed from before this vast throng, because the battle line is not for you, but for Elohim."
The battle is what?
Not for you, but for Elohim.
The battle is not yours, it's the Most High's. So that's why they can't refute Ron Dalton or even little dirt bags like you and I. It's the Most High on us. Tell them, read that again, son. Why would I have Masha bring me scrolls again and write the same law just to have my son tell you, don't worry about all that? Right. So this is the Most High keeping it. Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. But this is the Most High's promise to us, family. It makes us feel good, but don't get so complacent or get so prideful that you think you're smart. You're not smart. The Most High owes us. He owes us if you're lawful. So you talk to him like, Father, I'm doing the best I can. Take this anxiety. Father, I'm doing the best I can. Take this sickness. He owes you. Wow. Stop coming to him like a beggar and a poor man. Tell him, Father, I'm doing the best I can. You know where you sit me at, but I'm coming back with a heart. You owe me this, Father.
Hallelujah. This promise is connected to his word.
Come on now. Come on now. So we brought out more doctors because, you know, you Hebrew Israelites just trying to be somebody. Y'all can't interpret the scripture properly, and you don't know the hermeneutical, and you don't know the exegesis. When you Google Hermes for hermeneutical, Hermes is a pagan deity. Come on. He's a Canaanite deity. So you up here talking about a hermeneutical breakdown, you're giving honor to Hermes, the Canaanite god of speech and smooth writing. Wow. You sound real smart out of seminary. You up here putting a pagan deity on a holy text, and you got something? I don't want to turn our guests off. We're friendly people. Let it go. We're friendly people. We're friendly people here. But this doctor, he passed away a couple years ago. But this doctor, Yosef, who's a Israeli, he did some research. He says, okay, there was not only one type of Masorah, but each different school had a different process of how they would annotate the prophecies. So there's a Jerusalem, or the one y'all got in front of y'all, this Masorah came from Tiberius, the Tiberian Nazarenes. But he did some research. He says the Jews in Babylon had a different type of Masorah, a different system. So which system is more valid? Right. And then he says, not only was there one in Babylon amongst the Israelites, but every little school in Greensboro, in Charlotte, well, this is how we do it up here. This is how we do it. So everywhere you go, there was a different system for the same prophecies. And the Most High said, I give one law. One law. As you go up and down Israel, you shouldn't come into a bayah. We had one main temple in Jerusalem, Solomon's temple. But other communities far away had bayah. You shouldn't walk into their bayah and they're doing something different from Solomon's temple. So how you got a different Masorah in Babylon and Tiberias and all the other little schools? So which Masorah is more valid? They're all garbage. So there was a point of time, I can't give you an accurate year because we're still under the AKA Christian, AKA Roman, AKA Babylonian system. So when you hear these brothers, yeah, the Egyptians period of 1300 BC, you don't know what year it was. Rome came with a whole new time system. But for thousands of years, if you couldn't process these glyphs, you didn't know what the scrolls said. These scrolls are FUBU, for us, by us. Didn't it transition to a more abstract form? And even to me, like this abstract is really like, now you're getting away because you're going to lose the context. So even I've learned to read this over the years. I don't like reading because you're getting away from the concrete meaning. So, but even if you couldn't read this, you're going to be up the creek. So part 9, Destroying Christian Dogma, they had Bible wars. They had Bible wars. And real quick, just write down your 2, maybe 3 top verses. Like if they took your Bible from you, your 3 that you're going to stand on or that you can remember. Just take the time, write 2 or 3 verses. Just your Bible, get yours written down. you have to stand or just go on that island, like, what's your boy name? What's that movie? Wilson? What's that? Castaway. Yeah, if you was cast away like the boy, what would you recite every day? The 2 or 3 verses. So we thank the Most High for pagans who I can't speak for these pagans, but Eusebius, I'm paraphrasing Eusebius, but there was some good by our scrolls being translated into Greek and other languages. It says when the sweet words of Israel or Judea went throughout the world, people began to see the errors of their ways. These pagans were sleeping with their mothers, their sisters. They had no order, but by us falling and missing it, they got to see like, yeah, this shouldn't be. So there was some good from these translations, but it all started because we missed the mark. Had we not broken the contract, we wouldn't need the translation of English and Greek. So can you read that quote from William Tinsdale?
I had perceived by experience that it was impossible to establish delay people in any truth, except the scripture were plainly laid before their eyes in their mother tongue.
In their what?
In their mother tongue.
In their what?
In their mother tongue.
They did their best to whitewash this picture. Williams Tinsdale is dark as me. And he was one of the ones who he was bilingual. He spoke a couple languages and Hebrew was one. And he took the English, he didn't make the first English Bible, but he made the second version and he cleaned the English up. Because the first English Bible, I'm gonna let y'all see it, is very hard to read. So Williams Tinsdale was a brother. I can't say for sure if he's an Israelite, but he was a theologian and they burnt him at the stake. They burnt him at the stake for copying the scriptures into English. So he's saying, he's a theologian. He's saying the lay person, the everyday common person. You got something?
I just Googled him real quick and looked at his picture, and one of the other pictures, you could tell that he.
You can pass it around, y'all can Google him. But what Williams Tinsdale is saying, the everyday person can only be enlightened from hearing the scriptures in the mother tongue. In the mother tongue. Now, he's saying their mother tongue. But what we're bringing out, you still won't benefit unless you got it from our mother tongue. Because your mother tongue may get you close like old school horseshoes, but we're living prophecy. I don't want to be close anymore. We need to be dead on. Right. Messiah says, hey, I'm coming down Greensboro at 601, and you there at 602. Like, hey, where's that? Woo. I had to throw some cologne real quick. I had to get my thing done. Messiah gone. Messiah gone. I'm only 30 seconds late. Hey, he says 601, not 601, 30 seconds. So that's what Christianity and these other languages, they're close, but unless you get it in the mother tongue of the Hebrews, you're still off. But he wants to put it in the mother tongue of every working layman, English, Latin. Every working person should have these scrolls in their own tongue. But he's telling you the power of the mother tongue. And there's no tongue more powerful than our mother tongue.
It's like that prologue, just the prologue, the Sister
Mhm.
Rock,
Mhm.
that speaks about,
Con,
you know, our language is powerful.
it's powerful.
You know what I mean? And spoken in any other tongue doesn't do it justice.
It's close, it's just no cigar. I just said close, but no cigar. So they burnt this brother at the stake for copying the scriptures into English. So we got an article to read. It's not gonna take that long. This is the article, the link is still a valid link. You have to hurry up and get these links because as we're waking up, they're scrubbing websites. Everything is pointing to them being frauds and Christianity being the works of Satan. They're going and scrubbing the internet. I know it's like, how can you erase the internet? Like, it's man-made. It's man-made. So this website is still up. I was on there the other night, and this website is valid, BibleResearchers.com. This website is run by a theologian.
Got a quick question. So I'm uploading the song on the distribution site, and the title is by Hashem Yahushua.
Mhm.
So, and the reason I did it without any, because I've seen, Lawrence got up Yahuwah to Sabaoth.
Mhm.
So, and he go through the same distribution I go through. So his title is out there, but they sent me a complaint back. And it was like, the first time I looked at it, they said the data on your album cover is not matching up with the data your data information that you filled out. So I went back and looked at it, and I made a mistake. I put English because, in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm singing a song in English. You know what I'm saying? But, okay, they might have looked at the title and everything. And like, what is that? So I was like, I'm going to change it to Hebrew. Got a complaint this morning. They sent it back again. So, I'm like, I'm kind of lost right now because I'm like, either I change it back to English or am I doing something wrong? Like, are they looking at that like, this ain't the original, Hebrew? So then she brought up an idea, Kayla brought up the idea, like maybe I should look and see if there's like something for Jewish and try to put that in. But I'm kind of, now that we're on the language, I was, I'm sitting here thinking, man, maybe these niggas playing. Maybe they know what's up. They like, oh, hold on, this guy, he coming through.
Huh?
It might be able to slide it in there. It says Ebonics.
Okay, say Ebonics?
Say Ebonics.
Okay. And you let me in.
I was going to say, go ahead, Chef.
We know on school.
Oh, ain't let me in now. But I'm sorry, I ain't mean to get off.
I was going to say, just for a test, change the song, same data. The song's going to be the same file, right? Change it to Jesus and see what happens.
Right.
Can you pull it down after you upload it?
I can't. That's the thing. That's all.
Yeah, based on what's going on.
Yeah.
Because we know who owns all these things.
Yeah.
Right? Based on what's going on, you know what I mean? They're kind of looking at everything that's coming through now. You know what I mean? So it's like you said, the Romans use the same distribution. Right. You gotta watch out all it's on there, but that
was a year ago.
Years ago, right? So it's different time now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they flagged the song, but yeah, they flagged my song on
Yeah. 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 I knew it when they sent a message. Like copyright infringement. I got permission. Right. I got permission from the owner to use the song. Well, that's why I wanted to read that Second Chronicles. The battle's not ours. They can try to shut down sites. It don't matter, family. He's resurrecting the dry bones. He's resurrecting the dry bones. So we're gonna read this article again. I'm a dirtbag, but these are theologians that's bringing this stuff out. This man is named Cleland Boyd McAfee, and he's not the owner of this website. Another theologian owns the website, but this is the article we're about to read by a man named Cleland Boyd McAfee, and he's just going to tell you something about the English Bible. So, can you start us off here?
Yes, sir. preparing the way, the English Bible before King James. Before King James. There are three great book religions: Judaism, Christianity, and
Mohammedanism.
Mohammedanism.
Do we practice Judaism? We practice the covenant. We got to use these terms for people to understand. Like when I put in my slips for the job, I say for religious observance. And people are like, what religion are you? It's like I don't practice religion. I got a covenant.
Right.
But for the people, we got to use words they can understand. But we don't practice Judaism. We don't.
Other religions have their sacred writings, but they do not hold them in the same regard as do these three. Buddhism and Confucianism count their books rather records of their faith than rules for it. History rather than authoritative sources of belief. The three great book religions yield a measure of authority to their sacred books, which would be utterly foreign to the thought of other faiths. Yet among the three named are two very distinct attitudes. To Mohammedan, the language as well as the matter of the Quran is sacred. He will not permit its translation.
So the three major religions all have similar doctrines, Abrahamic faiths, but there's difference between the other, like the Arabs. They believe this book and this language is sacred, and I don't want you translating it into another language. That these colonizers forced these translations. But if it was up to the Arabs, you wouldn't have the Quran in English because their tongue is sacred. You know?
Its original Arabic is the only authoritative tongue in which it can speak. It has been translated into other tongues, but always by adherents of other faiths.
Nosy people.
Never by its own believers.
No Muslim's gonna let you translate their Quran. That's why you got the picture of the brother with the oldest Bible in the world. Y'all seen that brother? He got his head wrapped, and the picture of the colonizers right next to him. He's like, nah, I'm holding this. Because every time y'all get your hands on something, y'all pollute it and change it. So I want to come over and see how y'all do. Why you want to see what we're doing? Worry about what y'all doing.
Right.
Because everything you touch, y'all got the opposite of the Midas touch. Everything y'all touch turns to copper. Read on.
The Hebrew and the Christian on the other hand, but notably the Christian, have persistently sought to make their Bible speak all languages at all times.
Did us Nazarites put our scroll to the languages? It was by force. First, the Greek king says, hey, we want y'all scrolls into Greek to the library in Alexandria. And it would benefit y'all people because y'all got some Israelites here who don't even speak Hebrew no more. And I'm going to give y'all some gold for your temple. And I'm going to release, like I think he released 500,000 slaves, Israelite slaves. So our elder says, okay, go translate it into Greek for them. But if we hadn't dropped the ball, it wouldn't be necessary.
That sounds like that Roman Catholicism, that one world religion. We want our Bible to speak to all languages at all times. That's what I saw when I saw that right there.
And we brought it out the very first class, that resource. Christianity, aka Catholicism, is an attack on us. Because they said this thing is for everybody, not just a national thing. When they said this, they want a religion for everybody, not just a national belief, it was a slight against you and I.
Wow.
Because when you come to Judea, it's national rules.
Right.
If you're not Judah, what you talking about? You want to be king? Whoa, take him to the elders. You got to spirit on him. If you're not a Levite, what you talking about? I'm just as good as sacrifice. No. You can't offer the sin sacrifice. This is for Levite. So everything about us is nationalist. So Christianity, aka Catholicism, is a direct attack on you.
Right.
On you. Can you have something?
Yeah, this made me think about this, now with a lot of this corporate world and this diversity and this all inclusion and all this training that they're doing in these companies and the government. We got to have so many hours of this inclusion training and diversity. And so it's just like they are, even back when we first started going to going back to church. And one of the pastors said that he wanted to have a diverse church. You know.
Oh,
he
yeah.
He was on that campaign about diverse church. So it just makes me think how it kind of starts trying to brainwash us to try to, you know, they bring it into the workplace, to church, everything to do this diversity, all inclusion stuff.
Now, we want to be clear, we got Torah law that says strangers can come cleave to us. But you're not coming in here doing what you want to do.
Right.
You're not about to add no Confucius in here. Oh yeah, I'm just going to take your Torah lamb and I'm going to add some little bit of, no. You got to get out of Jerusalem doing that. So we're not saying that we're not accepting of others, but we're the only ones when we're lawful, we don't kill you to become like us. If you come through and you see the Most High with us, hey, how can I stay? All your males must be circumcised. Your women must be chaste. You have to get dipped in water, living water, and you're going to keep these covenants. It don't make you Israel, and it don't make you above us. You are attached to us. So we want to be clear. Israel was never like, no, you can't come live here. You could come here, but you're going to follow the same laws as us. You're not bringing in what you learned over there in Lebanon and China. No, you bring it here.
One law to the whole world
Right.
and to the stranger.
And our ancestors during the Maccabean period who forced those Edomites to become Jews, that he should have did that. Elder was wrong for that. He was trying to make peace and try to appease the Edomites the way y'all could be. No. You should never force no one by the sword to practice what, because Abba don't come to you like that. Abba says, if you will, I stand at the door and knock. So we don't force no one by the sword, hey, get circumcised and keep the commandments. No. If you don't see the benefits, you don't see Abba with us, you don't want his son, keep it pushing. We're going to be all right. Read on.
How early the movement for an English Bible began, it is impossible now to say. Certainly just before 700 AD, that first singer of the English tongue, Caedmon, had learned to paraphrase the Bible.
You learn to what?
Paraphrase the Bible.
That's all y'all been doing in these other languages. You don't know the word. I'm giving you the word of God. The word of God says, if you're not speaking these pictographs, you're paraphrasing. We just brought it out with Mariam and Miriam, or Mariam. It sounds close, two different functions. So if you don't know the mother tongue, you just been paraphrasing what's going on. Wow. Read on.
We may recall the venerable Bede's charming story of him and how he came by his power of the interpretation. Bede himself was a child when Caedmon died, and the romance of the story makes it one of the finest in our literature. Caedmon was a peasant and a farm laborer in Northumbria, working on the lands of the great abbey at Whitby. Already he had passed middle life, and no spark of genius had flashed in him. He loved to go to the festive gatherings and hear the others sing their improvised poems, but when the harp came around to him in due course, he would
So Bede is a English historian. His files, his writings are around. You could download Bede's writings. And what I love about Bede, he captured all the history of Rome coming into England. Rome and England had beef, and that's where the Bible wars come from. The Romans, aka the Catholics, aka the Latins, like, no, those scriptures can only be in Latin. And the English was like, we're just as good as you. And that's when you get the Church of England. Shalom. So this is wow.
Yeah, work.
So this is where we get the Bible wars from. Rome was like, no other nation should have these scrolls. It's only in Latin. If we catch with any writings other than Latin, burn them or kill them or put them in prison. And now you got England saying, hey, we're just as good as you Romans. We want the scriptures in our native tongue. You got Bible wars. The Church of England versus the Church of Rome. And that's where you get the Protestant movement come from. This is what we're reading about. Let's go on to the next paragraph. Yet the fact is,
Yet the fact is that until the last quarter of the 14th century, there was no prose version of the Bible in English, in the English language.
say what?
There was no prose version of the Bible in the English language.
Let's unpack this and let's understand what they're saying. The last quarter of the 14th century, there was no English writing of the scriptures. You couldn't find English anywhere. What's the last quarter of the 14th century? The 14th century is what in the Roman system? 1300s. The last quarter would be 1375. 1375, there's no version of English Bible around. They have no form of our scriptures in English. 1375. When did we get carted away on slave ships in mass? 1619. Just to give you a perspective.
1492.
In 1492, you're kicking the Israelites out of Spain and Portugal. So 1492, 1375, you have no English writing of our language scrolls at all.
Wow.
Y'all understand the magnitude of that? 1375, English Bibles do not exist. You don't have the scrolls in English. It's only Greek and Latin. English is Johnny come late.
Wow.
In the spirit of Benaiah, but wait, there's more. You know why?
Indeed, there was only coming to be an English language. It was gradually emerging, taking definite shape and form so that it could be distinguished from the earlier Norman, French, Saxon, Anglo-Saxon, in which so much of it is rooted.
So hold on, let's unpack this. 1375, your language is still being formed. What's that word you said earlier to him to change his title into, say the language is written in? So your English is Ebonics right now.
Wow.
No one knows what you're saying. Your English to the Romans, y'all are barbarians. No one understands your language. Your language is still shape and form. Y'all see where I'm going with this? How are you going to translate my holy text and your language is still being developed? Thou shalt not sin. La'akata. Don't separate yourself from the Most High Spirit. You see, kata versus sin, your English language is just being developed, and you want to tackle the holy scripts, the prophecies, and you want to give me a King James Bible in English? Thank the Lord we can read this. Lord is Baal. What are you Baal for? Come on now. Your language is just being formed. And your first amazing feat is to translate the Hebrew scrolls. Slow down. It's like that Chris Rock joke. He says, "You ever met someone just graduated night school? I'm thinking about going to college." Whoa, slow down. It's obvious high school was a challenge for you. So y'all just get your language together. We want an English Bible. Let that sink in, family. Read on out.
As soon as the language grew definite enough, it was inevitable that two things should come to pass. First, that some men would attempt to make a colloquial,
They don't matter.
version of the Bible, and secondly, that others would oppose it. One count with all confidence on these two groups of men marching through.
That's all we needed. So it was like inevitable. We got our ABCs together. Now let's get a Bible. Like, dude, you still developing words. And you want to tackle the Holy Script from Jerusalem? So this is the magnitude we're going in. You just can't open to us. We got witnesses here, like Nariah and Sister Juice was saying, and Brother Brandon, you got to have patience because these people really think they know the Bible. You know that text in front of you, that's not the word of the Most High. So we're getting to a level, it's like you just got to let them go. Just drop a little seed, and those who can catch, go and catch it. Like, I was dealing with a Christian theologian, he posts Revelation. And already I'm like, well, Revelation is it says the revelation of Hamashiach that he sent for his servants. And his servants are the children of Israel. So I ain't even taking that route. But he posts like, he says, I think it's Revelation 19, and to the books will open up. and the dead was judged first. So I said, Father, because we friends now, so I said, it comes across my timeline, I got to deal with this. So I said, Father, give me, I don't want to be combative. Give me the words to help the brother and his audience.
Facebook bully.
I said, Father, give me the words to reach him, because I know his spirit. I don't want to argue with them. So I says, okay, I got it. I said, Father gave you something. I says, there seems to be something off, because it says the books are being opened so they can be judged. I said, but y'all teach a grace. I said, why are they being judged if we're under grace? And I knew he was going to have a comeback, because I dealt with him many times before. He says, no, there's nothing off. He says, I'm like, okay. I says, well, how would a first century Israelite understand being judged by grace? I said, your doctrine's not lining up. That's all you got to do. And then he types something back to me. He says, so you're not responding because I'm like, my job is done. Most High says, that's all I want you to do. I'm not here to go back and forth with you. I'm here for your readers who can see, like, you're talking about grace. So he says, so you don't believe we're under grace? And then y'all know what he posted next. He went and posted Paul. Posted something in Romans. I said, here we go. So I says, right now, we're not under arrest. I said, are you free to rob, steal, and kill? And left. I said, Shalom. Because those who listen with the ear, like, yeah, that ain't making sense. You talk about the books are open. And I says, what? In the first century Israelite mind, what book would they know? I said, furthermore, would a righteous father judge you by books you've never seen before? Would that be righteous of him? I got your book right here. Like, where do you get that from? The same books I gave the Masha. The same books Yahweh Shai telling y'all to come back to. But he's posted Revelation 19 with no understanding. Got a bunch of seminary doctrine. So we're going through all this legwork to show y'all this English Bible that the Masoretic text, the foundation of, is rubbish. It's not the word of Most High. So this is the links here for this website, and theologians, they don't all agree on these timelines. Even these years are fictitious. 1400 BC does not exist. 1400 BC does not exist, but because we grew up in Greco-Roman schools, we have to use things people could relate to. Our time, we kept time by the beginning of creation. Adam was born. And our elders could tell you how old the earth was because they was keeping track of people's birthdays. Adam lived X amount of years, Methuselah lived X amount of years. That's how we was keeping track. And then when we went into captivity, we lost that track. And it was like, this is the 13th year of Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. This is the 15th year of the Greek King Alexander's kingdom. So this year, 1400 BC is fictitious. It doesn't exist. This is the Catholic, aka Christian time era. But just for entertainment, just for some kind of reference, this gives you the transition of our scrolls. And you see, I hate saying it, but 500 BC says we had all our manuscripts complete. They don't know. You Romans wasn't there. Y'all Johnny come late. How y'all know when we got all our scrolls together? This is the level you have to be the sister that was here. I'm a skeptic. We need to be skeptics. All of us should be skeptics. How you got 500 BC? Rome, y'all wasn't there. But just for educational purposes, we're going to use this timeline. And this is the transition of our writings from these pagans. You see 382 of the Roman era, Jerome gives you the Latin Vulgate. Vulgate comes from that word vulgar. It means common language. To our generation, vulgar means like it's a cuss word, it's evil, and really it is vulgar to take our writings and put it in the language. So Jerome gave you the Latin Vulgate, and his manuscript was like gold to them. And then after the Vulgate came, the floodgates opened up. You got our writings in Romania, Lithuania, all these other languages. You got these people think, I'm giving you a good Bible. The further you move from this, you don't know what you're talking about. Just like the conversation that comes up, it's a great topic. We're going to revisit it. But like when we say the Most High is our Father, we're using terms people can understand. But y'all know in our Greco-Roman system, to be a father, you have to impregnate a woman. So what do we mean? He's our father. Our elders, we're using language people understand. We know the Most High didn't father us. He created us. He's our creator. Everything belongs to him. Just like you can grasp it with who they attribute that pagan, they Greek, they say he's the father of medicine. Gave you the image with the arms. Socrates, is it?
Yes.
Socrates, is it Socrates or one of them? They say he made that image of the man with his arms like that. Who? But the point being, they say he's the father of medicine. We know he didn't sleep with a woman to birth medicine. You got to understand that the culture you're in, the captivity you're in. And that's what it comes with our scrolls. People are having these debates and they think they're going deep. Who? Hippocrates, thank you. So they say he's the father of medicine. And we know he ain't slept with no woman called medicine. It's their tongue. So now you take all this Greco-Roman education we have and you're trying to put it on Hebrew scrolls. And you got brothers sticking there deep. Yeah, see, how can a woman have a baby with no seed? See, spermosa means sperm. Brother, you ain't giving me no breakdown. Brother, you ain't deep at all. Just the spirit ain't in you. That's why you don't understand how a woman had a seed without a man entering her. So, Chef.
I was just going to touch on that.
Simple. That's simple. None of our fathers did anything. Our fathers were all just looking for a good time. It was the Most High. It was the Most High open that womb up and let that thing think. You're gonna show me, yeah, this is the fallopian tube. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like that woman who the Feast of Dedication. She told her 7 sons, I don't know how y'all enter my womb. The Most High gave you to me, and he's gonna bring you back to me. That's what you sit down and, well, how long are you gonna be pregnant? And so you see the baby got a gestate. Man, listen, all we gotta do is keep these laws. Abba got the rest. That's all we gotta do. So this is just a preview of what we're gonna get into. Here's a copy of this is another I can't remember the price. My wife's here. I can't remember the price, but this is when I was first coming in. I was buying books every week. But this is the first English Bible by a man named Wycliffe. And just read some of the pages. Just read some of the pages. That English is hard to read. And then Tinsdale, he came and used modern English. So most of what you got in front of you is based on Wycliffe, but Tinsdale came and put a better English on it. Like in that book, they spell father. It makes you sound like you can't read. They spell father F-A-D-I-R, father. So that's archaic English. And then Tinsdale came and says, no, it's F-A-T-H-E-R, father. But that's the basis of your King James Bible right there. So on your screen, family, this is the Leningrad Codex. And the Leningrad Codex is from a Russian city, Leningrad, Russia. And that's what you got in front of you. You have the Leningrad Codex. The Masoretic Bible is based on this codex. And the Russians came and stole it. And right now, to this day, as we speak, the original manuscript, the original Masoretic Leningrad Codex is in the museum in Russia, St. Petersburg. They changed the name of the city from Leningrad to St. Petersburg. So why are you Russians concerned about what's going on in Judea?
Who started using that language right there?
This came, it's hard to pinpoint the period. Some say after the Syrian captivity, then one researcher says, no, this is way after Syria. So it's hard to pinpoint when these block scripts came, but this is vulgar language. This is not Hebrew. This is adulteration. They're using vowel points. It's adulteration. Can y'all see the writing at the top of the screen? Not that, I mean on their image.
Barely.
Right. So that's Masura Magna. That's major Masura. You see the writings and the marks on the sides and in between the margins? That's Masura Parva, a little smaller. These are notes these Masoretic priests are making. This is Masorah. It's the handcuffs. You're putting handcuffs around the holy text. So, Shamar Yah, now you're back, let's do some work. Come do some work.
I ain't coming to all that.
Work for that white man all day. I love you, brother. No, you gotta do some work, brother. So let's research or read the history about the Codex, the Leningrad Codex, aka Masoretic text. This is the history about that text in front of y'all. Can you see that? Y'all all right? It's burning up in here. Got my feet up. Left in the field. Water, Bob. Y'all all right? Good. Okay. Good gracious Lord. We're gonna lose weight one way or the other. So this is the history of the Leningrad Codex, aka the Masoretic text.
Where it says, read the surprising.
Come.
Read the surprising story of how medieval scholars reproduced the text of the Bible with astonishing accuracy.
Astonishing accuracy. What's your sources? What's your sources? When we came up in their schools, and then you go to seminary and they tell you this sentence, now you go repeat it for your grade. Or they translated the Bible with astonishing accuracy. What source? How you know? Do you got the manuscript Moses got? Do you have Matthew's first manuscript? They say these things and pass over it, and then you repeat it. Oh yeah, the Bible was accurate. And that's one thing that the naysayers, like the brothers, I love my brothers, but when they come against a non-Israelite and they say, y'all Bibles is tainted, no, it's not. I'm like, it is. It is. Because you're defending your school, you're defending your teacher, and now you up there for clicks and views and clout. You gotta say the Bible I stand on those scriptures. And that's why you telling people that Christ wasn't a virgin birth, because you stand on these scriptures. This Bible is filthy, family. Read on.
Imagine a man, his name is Samuel, he is a scribe. The year is AD, that 1008, and he sits day after day in Fustat, now part of the modern day Cairo,
Egypt,
painstakingly copying text onto the pages of parchment.
So that's another name you could write. Samuel is one of the ones who has something to do with your Masoretic text.
The manuscript he is creating must be of the highest possible quality. It is the Hebrew Bible, and his community is entrusted with the sacred responsibility of reproducing it as faithfully as possible. Little does Samuel know that in 1,000 years, the document he is poring over will become the oldest known complete manuscript of the Hebrew Bible in the world.
Gotta unpack this. They use these phrases. It's the oldest complete Hebrew manuscript in the world. And it's like they give you no context. It's not the oldest Hebrew manuscript. It's the oldest manuscript written in what they call Hebrew, all those vowel points and all that. And it's the complete according to the Masoretes. But according to our fathers who translated Septuagint, their Bible, just because they wrote it in Greek, the source of that Greek were Hebrews, were Israelites who were bilingual. But they give you this phrase, it's the oldest complete. And that's why the Septuagint was pushed to the back, because we don't need the Greek now. We have this air quotes Hebrew. But these air quotes Hebrews are Masoretes. These are non-messianic men. The Septuagint is before Messiah's birth, so they didn't even have the opportunity to say, I don't believe that he's the son. But your Masoretes are the descendants of the Pharisees. They reject your king. And that's the text you've been swallowing. Read on.
Far from being a fictional character, Samuel, the son of Jacob, was a real person who in the year 1008 to 1009 completed the manuscript now known as the Leningrad Codex, or more simply L. And we know the work in his is his because of various notes at the beginning and end about who wrote it, when, where, and for whom. While we have hundreds of Hebrew Bible manuscripts from antiquity and the medieval era that are earlier than the Leningrad Codex.
Stop there, sis. Mhm.
Corruption between those two versions, just that it's just a matter of semantics.
No, do you have the Lexham?
Yes.
So the Lexham, oh, thank you, whoa, I still got it. So the Lexham, we found out the Lexham is more closer to following the Masoretic text. So the Sir Britain is the most, is going to be more accurate. There's one, and you guys can look for it, please. If you find it, I will have with you. There's another copy of the Greek Septuagint that's older than Britain. I've been looking for years, and I can't find it. There was a man, I forgot it, Ralph something. Ralph something has a translation of the Septuagint that's older than Britain. I just haven't been able to find it in English. It's available in Greek. Not Charlesworth. His name is Ralph something. But the Lexham follows the Masoretic text. We're finding that. I think Yah has it, and Queen has it, and Shwarya has it, and they're going off a lot. Yeah, and we're deep behind.
These ones are the wrong ones?
Lexham, not all the time.
Like they read.
It reads better because they use a modern English, but it goes off a some space. You got both of them?
They do.
The New English translation.
I noticed it sounded different, but like that verse you read, it was saying the same thing. But there's going to be some times in the Lexham, it's totally, it's saying it's either following the Masoretic or it's saying something different. And that's because we're deep behind enemy lines. These publishers, these are revisions and these additions. What are you adding? What are you revising? So that's how far behind enemy lines we are. But the Lexham,
What is your motive?
what is your motive? So, right. And his name was I don't know why I read his bio many times, but his official title is Sir Britain Lancelot.
Yes.
Sir Britain Lancelot. And I don't know why he chose his bio, I'm going from memories, like he left his trade and wanted to become a theologian. And I guess he tackled translating the Septuagint. But so far we're finding that his translation seems to be, and now that we learn this, Britain's his verses make sense. Like, I mean, I'm up this with the one Sister Joyce gave us this week, I'm up to 64 corruptions of the so-called Old Testament. But when you learn this language, Britain's makes sense. Like, what's that one Shemariah? He says, I'm gonna invite everybody to my mountain or feast to my mountains. Like, that's not making sense. And then I'm gonna call the Edomites who are called by my name. Like Amos 9 or something, like that ain't making sense. The Edomites are not called by your name. So it's making sense when we read it out of the Britain. Making sense. That's a good question. Any more before we start back up, Chef? Yeah, exactly. Like how do you get a couple verses down? I'm gonna call the Edomites who call by my, like, and that's when the Rawak is like, that's not adding up. That's not adding up. So great question is just, we're deep behind enemy lines, and that's when you're going to have your moments with the Spirit going to tell you, read that again. Just like I'm telling you, the Spirit going to say, read that again. Like,
I typically like compare them regardless, because even the Britain, they're supposed to be Britain online, and I told Nariah, I was like, this one sometimes read different than the Britain in the book. It's not all the time, but it's sometimes. And Kevin has a different Septuagint. I don't know what translation he got. His is totally different than us. So like I told Gerald too, like I just don't marry any text. I just read it. I would say I would base it off the Septuagint first. So I'll just read the KJV, then I'll compare the Septuagint. I see what it's saying, then I'll read the website. If I still don't get it, that's the only way that's how I do it.
Because why are you, Mr. Publisher, Mr. Editor, why are you dealing with this text when your nation is not involved in this text?
You know what?
You're doing it for profit or you doing it for clout. So I gotta side out all y'all versions. And then our big joker is the Most High. His son's like right there, like, no, I didn't say that. I ain't say nothing like that.
No one made
That's true though. That's true.
So great question. Anybody else had anything? I'm trying to monitor the chat. All right, can you read that verse, that top paragraph again? While hundreds.
Thanks.
Did I get her in? Did she get in?
Fine. Thank you.
While we have hundreds of Hebrew Bible manuscripts from antiquity and the medieval era that are earlier than the Leningrad Codex, some containing large portions of the biblical text, others just a few letters. L is the earliest complete manuscript. It contains all 24 books of the Hebrew Bible. Jewish tradition counts the books differently from the way they appear in most English Bibles, although the text is the same and lies directly behind the translations such as the NIV and ESV.
Again, these scholars are using these phrases, oldest, most complete, but when we read the text, we're finding books like the Most High's Book of Wars. Where is it? It says Edo the prophet recorded all Solomon's or David's act. Where's Edo the prophet book at? It said Nathan the prophet recorded it too in his book. Where are these? If this is complete, why are you guys scrolls listed in your codex that's nowhere to be found if it's complete? So complete is subjective. It's complete to you. I'm an Israelite. I'm reading everything. And the Most High Son is going to tell me what's authentic and what's garbage. So you got to vet. We're behind. No one wants us to win. You see what's going on around dog. No one wants us to win. And then our own people, you had no problem for years supporting you. I bet you these Protestants sent money to Israel. Okay, your home hood got bums and dope fiends around, but you sending money to Israel. You never questioned who you were sending money to. Now we're telling you that we're really Israel. I don't think identity matters.
Why y'all keep talking about that black stuff?
Where we at?
L.
L?
L is also significant as one of the best examples of the so-called Masoretic text, the particular form of the Hebrew Old Testament as preserved and transmitted by Jewish scholars known as the Masoretes or traditionalists, who were active from about the 7th century AD onwards. To glimpse the Leningrad Codex is to enter a medieval world where passionate devotion to the text meets patient and painstakingly attention to every detail, a kind of medieval Tyndale house. Let's take a closer look at a typical page.
So this page, or whoever's in charge of this website, you want to tell me that these Masoretes paid attention to detail, and the text was so holy, they made sure they got everything right. But every prophecy that's messianic, you twist. You twist. It didn't say they should pierce his hands and feet. It should say a lion should come. What? But these Masoretes did a great job, according to your seminary schools. These Masoretes are devils. They're devils. So this is a page, an image of the codex. And again, I'm just pointing out, number one is just pointing out, you can see their notes. Their notes is what they became known as Masorah. Masorah is handcuffs, fetters. And then number two is pointing out, it's hard to see. Number two is pointing out the dot system, the nikus and all these sikus. That's a violation of Deuteronomy 4:2. What does it say, family? So when you add the pronunciation, you change the whole word. You change the whole word. So these Masoretes, no, they're not righteous men. No, they're not noble men. They're devils. I don't care if they're black or white. They're devils. Continue on here.
The
Oh, you tired? I'm sorry, working man. You tired?
I wasn't saying it
What
because
you
I was.
converted something. See, they don't come see me now. I see him there talking later. Yeah, he give her business.
No, I don't mind reading. He just was already reading. So
We already said we was gonna pass it around.
The Masoretic notes, the Masorah, surrounding the biblical text in the margins between the columns and at the top and bottom.
Surrounding the biblical text. Surrounding, anybody ever been in bracelets? Your hands were surrounded. That's what they did to our Father's word. You put in your notes, I don't think it should read like that. I don't think Masha really meant that. What are you talking about? If the Father said it like this is how we got to read it. Well, you think he's gonna kill kids too? No, this is hyperbole. If he say he's killing children, he's killing children. He created them, he got them here. They're his children to do what he wants with them. Can you imagine your sweater? Well, you wearing that sweater again this week? You will never wear me. I want you. That's how the Most High is. If he says, kill this nation and let this nation live, that's what I ain't asking no questions. Right. I'm like, hey, where we starting at? I'm not asking questions. You get these seminary people, yes, they gotta understand the text from a hyperbole exegesis. No, he didn't mean kill all the children. Now we're dealing with Edomites to this day because they didn't kill all the children. The Father says, kill them all, kill them all. Well, I think this is a nice little garment here. I'm just gonna tuck this under my tent. Y'all know what happened, how that played. Y'all see what happened with that, right? He said, burn everything. That's what we're doing. But this man gave you a drink of water. I appreciate that. This is where we're at, family.
you still out of here.
You got to be a nationalist. If the Father says, spare this man, we're going to spare this man. If the Father says, get this man out of here, he's out of here. He created all this.
Our people be hard-headed, though.
Well, she cute and she ain't got no kids and we rationalize our mess we want to do, don't we? She prayed with me, Father. She's a Canaanite.
We can eat these animals right here. We gotta kill them.
It's a baby goat. He just was born yesterday. Your father can give you a goat out of wood. This is where we at, family. All this stockpile out. This is how I fascinate. What the two? Father can have water coming from your backyard. Someone else come trying to get it, turns to stone. You know, but I'm gonna do like, yep, get out my yard. That's who we serve, family. All these movies they make it out of our records. Our records. They know our records are true, family. Your Father's gonna provide for you. Read on up.
These are an intricate matrix of many thousands of individual notes, all designed to preserve and safeguard the minute details of biblical text.
So you're safeguarding the text, but you wrote Messiah right out of it. Everything that points to that one y'all don't like, you just changed. You safeguarding it, huh?
The long notes written above and below the biblical text are called the Masorah Magna. The shorter notes between the columns written in the abbreviations of often only a single letter are known as the Masorah Panah or Parva.
Larva, maggots. That's what it is. The vowels?
The vowels, most of the smaller lines, make sure I'm saying right, and dots surrounding the consonants represent the vowels. This graphic novel notation system was designed.
Vowel notation?
This graphic vowel notation system was designed by the Masoretes.
Oh, no. See, you've been out of practice. It was designed by the Most High.
It's designed by the Masoretes.
By the Messiah.
By the Masoretes.
Who gave you this? Our elders said, thus saith the Most High. Adam got something from the Most High. You Masoretes, I know, well, I'm gonna change this, and this is how I'm gonna form this letter. Yeah, the ox head, that's old archaic. It takes too long to carve in the stone, so I'm gonna turn this ox head to a aleph.
This graphic vowel notation system was designed by the Masoretes in their efforts to preserve the carefully transmitted reading tradition they had received from antiquity.
Lies.
The consonants. Before the medieval era, Hebrew, like many Semitic languages, was a consonant-only language in its written form.
What'd you say?
It was a consonant-only language in its written form.
So where you get all these AOUs from? From your oppressors. From your oppressors telling you, no, we can't pronounce his name. His name is too holy. Let's pray to the Lord. You pray to Baal. I pray to Yahweh or Yahshua, the creator, the power of the princes. That's who he is. We don't
Before the medieval era, Hebrew, like many Semitic languages, was a consonants-only language in its written form. Subsequently, the vowels and accents were woven around the consonantal base. Consonantal
It's hard to say small,
text.
right? So the point y'all seeing in here, the Torah group, I didn't make this up, fam. I'm like all of you. I'm a skeptic. I come from Christianity. I'm tired of Christian lies, and I'm an Israelite now. I'm tired of Israelite lies. If you don't know, say you don't know, brother.
Right.
If you just got something that someone gave to you, just say it. Then I did the research. There is no vowels in our system. That AIOU from the Greeks. Put your pride. I got time for your pride. Getting people killed. Ain't no Messiah ain't come yet. Come on now. Just puffed up. You don't know what you teaching people. Where we at?
The accent.
Uh-huh.
Roughly speaking, each word of the manuscript is given an accent. The system of Masoretic accents helps the reader pronounce each word correctly and also determines the way the text should be divided up into sentences, clauses, and phrases, and how the text should be canted.
We don't need all this, family. We are food. If I told you, like, we got people from New York up in here. So if you heard a New Yorker saying, yeah, I'm about to go catch the A up to 125th Street, they know what they're saying. They're telling you I'm about to catch a certain train down to 125th. That's what I know the context of what's saying because I'm an Israelite. I know when I'm using this word as a negative or a positive. I don't need you accenting nothing. We're a nation. Just obey the commandments and we ain't got to change the way we speak because these Greeks are in here now.
In the original, it didn't have like periods and places where it just was like, they just wrote.
Just wrote. And us being natural Israelites, we know where the breaks was at. All this gaps and verses, it's all pagans telling us, well, I want to read it too. And now, because we're slaves, we appreciate it. Now we can, memorize verses. But when Moshe got that scroll and read from Isaiah, it was a scroll. It wasn't no hyperbole. They handed him a scroll. And he didn't have to say, priest, what word. No, he right here. This is the acceptable year of the Most High Yah. We so far from home, family, all because we don't want to keep the law. So the Masoretic notes.
The Masoretic notes from the
Oh, I'm sorry, we read that.
Oh, yeah.
It did switch up. The biblical text.
The biblical text in the Leningrad Codex is divided into at least 3 separate strands, including consonants, vowels, and accents. Originally, each strand was transmitted separately, and only the consonants of each word were actually written on the parchment.
I'm sorry, what you say?
Only the consonants of each word were actually written on the parchment.
Y'all changing parchments. Y'all adding vowels and everything to this codex. And this is the codex around the world. No matter how much you spill on that good Bible, y'all remember, I know Sister Corinne will remember, back in the day, the old adults used to come with new leathers and monogram Bibles and whatnot, gold letters. They spend good money for that. So can you remember them days? Go get the little stickies and markers and whatnot. Dividers. monogram leather cover for a bunch of daughter-rated texts. You done spent hundreds of dollars for these books. It's firewood. Read on.
From the evidence of the available documents, we know that the Jewish community preserved the consonants-only text virtually flawlessly for more than 1,000 years.
The Israelites had that consonant only for thousands of years. We didn't need you to put an A here, a U there, I there. We know what we're saying. We know what we're saying. Read on.
However, reading a text consisting of only consonants is harder than it might sound. For them, it's harder than it might sound. Consider the Hebrew word shalom or shalom, peace, wholeness, which is represented by 3 letters, Shalah and Ma. It means shalom. That's it. It's not hard. Like, I don't know. It's man, like, the Hebrew alphabet has a single letter in place of our sh sound. These letters, without the help of vowels and other distinguishing marks, could be read as shalom, peace, or shalem, complete, or shalem. I can't
Shalom.
Okay, shalem. He recompensed, or shalom,
Shalom.
shalom.
S-H, shulam.
It's like a glare up there.
Shulam. It's hard. So pretty much he's saying without us helping you with these pagan vows, your word could, I know the context is being, if I say my shalom, my tone, my inflection, he's gonna know I'm asking how's your peace. If I say shalom, meaning, and I got my coat on, you know, obviously I'm leaving. It's my salutation. We don't need y'all vows to help us. It's FUBU. We're amongst family. We know what we're saying.
Got there. It's agreed.
I'm about to split. Y'all, where am I sitting for the sun crowd at? Y'all remember the white cop and the black cop? Black cop got, no. Smitty got to explain to the white cop what he said. Yes, I don't need your Greek vows. We know what we're saying. I can tell by the context and everything. If I see my brother's mad, I know, okay, that word he ain't being really nice with that word. I don't need your helpers. We don't need no help. No, we don't need no more help. You did enough. Did enough. Read on out.
In practice, the context in which a word appears is usually sufficient to determine how the word ought to be read.
Just check the context.
Nonetheless, there are frequently places where the context leaves the consonantal text open for interpretation.
It don't when you're Israelite. It don't.
Here is where the oral element of transmission comes in. We know that in the centuries before Jesus, a set way of reading aloud this consonantal text was developed and passed on orally. In this way, the words themselves, not just the consonants, were preserved. The role of this ancient oral tradition was to pass the correct interpretation of how to pronounce the consonants. This reading tradition astonishingly continued to be transmitted orally for many centuries until the Masoretes developed their graphic systems of vowel and ancient sign.
You wouldn't know nothing about Yahuwah, any word with you wouldn't know nothing about that if it wasn't for these wicked Masoretes. So it's not the Torah group, it's not me, it's these theologians. I don't have a degree, family. It's these theologians telling you the ancient Israelites only had a consonantal system. It's you Masoretes coming like, yeah, let me fix the text up and make it nice and pretty. And we wouldn't need none of that if you would have kept the law. Read on.
It says, astonishingly, it continued to be transmitted orally for many centuries until the Masoretes developed their graphic systems of vowels and accent signs. Using those signs, they were able to record with minute precision the oral reading tradition they had received.
Received from who? Not from the apostles, not from Hamashiach.
This raises the question on how on earth the Jewish community managed such a gargantuan feat of textual conversation.
Conservation.
Conservation.
The
answer, in short, is that they counted an example. I'm sorry. The answer, in short, is that they counted.
They counted. It's a bunch of. They're saying to justify and to strengthen the theory that the Masoretes got it right. They're saying they counted each word to make sure they covered each word. Show me their tally sheet. Was you there with them? Was you there with Samuel Jacob? How do you know this stuff?
Was it? This sound like, what year was this?
They finally got it complete, depending on who you talk to, 1100 something. It was a movable text. It was a movable text. Any comments or questions? So this is just a preview. We're going to get in and we're going to expose the authors. We're going to expose all the hands who has something to do with your Bible, and not one of them, I ain't gonna say it because I got to double check. Not many of them were bilingual with Hebrew. If they did speak Hebrew, it was this Yiddish type of Hebrew. It wasn't this pictograph. So even those few who may knew the language, they knew you knew a corruption of the language, and they gave you your King James Bible. So this is Destroying Christian Dogma Part 9, just previewing. We're about to dismantle this book, not the word of the Most High. This book they gave us. This is the level we're up to, because now our time is nigh. They're about to shut down internet. They may come right now. They could be in our homes taking our anything they want, and we're going to be walking epistles. The words are in our heart, and we're going to get manifestation from His. He promised that to us. So all the dreams, they're coming back. It's not if they're coming back. The dreams are coming. The interpretation is coming. You may not have confidence till we get together. You ain't said nothing to nobody. Then watch the confirmation come. With that, I yield, open up for questions, comments, and concerns.
A quick comment about, you said, them scrubbing stuff. I was seeing online that brothers were saying that some of the interviews that like Kanye had and Kyrie had, they were, I think specifically Kanye, they saved them and downloaded them and had them on their Google Drive. Google went into their Google Drive and removed it. That was the first time I heard, like, that's a different level, because you're going in, even though it's like on a, I guess a server, you're going into someone's, I know it's protected through, what I'm saying? So that's the first, like, if it's on a website, okay, but now you're going into Abijah's Google's personal file and then removing something he saved. So that was like,
because you brought it out with the jab. They say that jab has things in there that's copyrighted.
Oh yeah,
and it's patented. And once you get injected with their patented material, they own that part of you where they find their material. So your phones, yeah, you paid that, you paid your bill, but that phone, the iOS is on their servers. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you haven't let this society go, let Babylon go. Because the more you clean to, a 6-figure job, and y'all just got this Bentley, everything, all these little trinkets that they gave on you, it's gonna be that when we out there. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, get away from me all that complaining. Get away from me that complaining. Listen, I hate the cold. But I know Chef gonna have something for me. Ain't gonna be no time for complaining. We out here. We gotta keep each other uplifted. I set the whole woods on fire. Right. That's where we're coming, family. Whatever you gotta let this system go. Don't be so attached to your little 6-figure job and all this mess they trinkets. And now the Most High is calling you. Like, you sure it's him? Okay. So that's what we had. This Destroying Christian Dogma Part 9.